Okay. Okay, go ahead, Megan.
So we just wanted to have some of your insight on listening to your inner thoughts and using those to guide you through decisions. I know when we last spoke, you told me that you wanted me to remind you of the time when you made the decision to go to UC Berkeley.
Cool. Well, I am so happy to be here, and Megan just said that we spoke the other day, and it was so fun. I mean, we could have stayed on there for a really long time. And what came out of that conversation was more than I'm not going to be here as a talking head. The reason why I'm really here is that, well, I'll tell you the story about Berkeley, and then that will be a good bridge to why I'm here. So I went to UC Berkeley, and I had good grades, but I had really poor test scores. And Berkeley was really, even then, it was really hard to get into. And at the time, well, no, I'm not going to tell that story yet. It's like how this all came about. So there I am a few years ago in the Bay Area, sitting in like my favorite cafe, that I used to study for all of my tests in. And there are these two girls sitting next to me, and they're going, "Oh shit, fuck, my counselor, he said I have to do," I don't remember what the specifics was, but should I do it? Because my life depends on it. If I don't do it, and I'm listening to them, and it's like, you could cut the anxiety and the stress with a knife. And I'm sitting there going, oh my God, I so remember sitting in that exact same position. And like, I was sitting here and the table was like, like as far from, one edge of you to the other. Like it was a really crowded cafe. So I couldn't help but not hear them talking, and they were very animated. So at one point I dared say to them, I go, "Excuse me, I can't help but overhear your talking." And, I thought, if you're interested, it's totally okay, fine, because here I am butting in. But if you would like, I so remember saying those exact same words to my friend sitting at that exact same table. If you want to know, like a bazillion years later, like what was important and what wasn't, ask me any question, anything. You can ask me anything, and I'll answer. What do you want to know? And we had the best time. We sat there for like an hour talking, and it was fun for all of us. So as Megan and I were speaking the other day, and she was bringing up some of the subjects that she thought would be of interest to you, such as, like life skills and confidence and perfectionism that she sees prevalent. As we were just talking back and forth, came clear that maybe the best thing to do was not have a presentation, but have a conversation. And this is your opportunity to ask any question that you would like, whatever's on your mind that you'd like a older, wiser person's perspective from, years later that might help you when you're dealing with whatever you're dealing with today. Would that be of interest to you?
I guess one of my first questions is then like, how do you distinguish against what is a big decision and what's like kind of an irrelevant decision?
That's a great question. Bottom line is, my experience is that there are two things. Their decisions are just in each moment, right? It's like 5 minutes ago is already gone, and 5 minutes from now isn't here yet, and all there is right at this moment. And we're making choices at every moment. And that reduces a lot of the stress, because there's just right now. And this thing about what you do now, here's what you do now. I mean, first of all, could we introduce ourselves?
Yeah.
I would feel more comfortable with that. So I know Megan already, and my name is Eliana Gilad, and I'm in Los Angeles here.
I'm from San Diego, so not too far from there.
Oh, wow. And what do you have, Matt, what year of school are you in?
The last one, so senior year.
I'm sorry, what?
Last semester, my last year of college.
Oh, last semester of your, and what's your major?
Aviation management.
Cool. Wow. Wow. Congratulations. That's big.
I'm Alex. I'm from Chicago.
And I'm sorry, I didn't hear your name?
Alex.
Alex?
Yeah.
Hi, Alex.
And I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I'm studying health sciences and I'm a junior at SLU.
I heard you're a junior, but I didn't hear so clearly what you're studying.
I'm majoring in health sciences.
Oh, in health sciences. Oh, that's cool. Cool. Hi, Alex.
I'm Catherine. I'm also a senior. This is my last semester, and I'm studying political science and criminal justice. And
Wow.
yeah, it sounds fancier than it is.
Wow. So, and Catherine is your name?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. What a nice mix. That's really cool. Well, welcome, Catherine.
I'm Abby. I'm a senior. I'm studying public health, and I'm from right outside DC.
Wait, I heard Abby. I heard senior. I didn't hear.
I'm studying public health.
Oh, public health. Okay. It's like I don't hear the consonant. The sound isn't the best. Public health. And where did you say you're from?
I'm from right outside DC.
Oh, right out DC. Cool. Wow, what a great combo. And Megan, you never said what you study.
I'm studying physical therapy.
Oh, physical therapy. Great. And what year? And what year are you
I'm
in?
junior.
Junior. Oh, really?
Suburbs.
That's really cool. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, neat. So, all right. So here's the Berkeley story. So I wanted to go to Berkeley. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, and I never wanted to stay in Los Angeles. Didn't feel natural growing up here. And I really wanted to go to Berkeley, but I had shit test scores. I had good grades, but not good test scores. And so at that time, when you applied for school, the application had the University of California has 9 campuses. And so you had to put like what you wanted. And I go, with my luck, I'm going to put whatever, and they're going to give me my 9th, choice. They're going to send me to Merced or somewhere I don't want to be until I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to find, and I didn't know what I wanted to study. Now, and I figured with an undergraduate degree, I'm never going to have a job out of it. So I figured, why don't I really study what I really want to study? And then that will take me the next step forward, which is kind of an answer to what are big decisions and small decisions. Like that was one decision of, let me choose what I'm interested in. But I didn't know what I was interested in at that point. But I knew I wanted to go to Berkeley. And I figured that I would look up the majors that they only had at UC Berkeley, that they didn't have at any of the other campuses. And I'd say that I want to major in that. What was it? Sanskrit. I am going to major in Sanskrit. This is what I'm going to be doing. And I ended up getting into Berkeley. And the funny thing is that Sanskrit was in the Near Eastern Study Department, that I ended up wanting to study Hebrew of all things, which was in the Near Eastern Study. What do you get a job with Hebrew? Come on. Like so out of left field. The only thing that you could possibly expect to get a job from in those days is if you studied engineering, and that was not my personality. I had no interest in that. So Hebrew ended up in the Near Eastern Studies department, which is exactly where Sanskrit was. So I was home free. Now, the other thing is when you ask about what's an important decision and what's, what did you say, big decision or little decision?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really a good example of little decision and big decision, because at that point it's like, no, I want to get into Berkeley. That's where I want to go to school. So, yeah, it was a big decision then, but it was also, if you look at it, over the course of a lifetime, it was a little decision. Because in the end, it doesn't matter where you went to school. Really? Does anybody ever ask? No. But I did have the consciousness at that point that I was like, well, I don't know what I want to do, but people care about names and how things look and how it sounds. So, Berkeley, it's like, well, that'll be, if I say I went to UC Berkeley, it'll mean something. But honestly, over the years, you get to a certain point, nobody asks you where you went to school. Nobody asks you what your grade average was. Like, not important in the larger scheme of things. What ended up hugely important in the larger scheme of things was that I listened to that voice that said, Berkeley, you have shit scores. And my parents were like, no, you're not going there, because they had all the riots there in the 60s. It was like, no, it's too dangerous for you. Even though my brother went to Berkeley. It's like, fuck that. It's like, in the end, it's going to be my life. I'm the one who has to live it. So I'm going to, it's like, I want to do what is going to be right for me. And the thing that I did with the Sanskrit, that was the first time in my life where I took my life into my matters, instead of, what will my parents say? What will they say? Am I going to get punished? Or that's like the best thing I ever did. Because it's funny, all my friends who went to other colleges and they listened to their parents or what other people said, they changed schools and majors a bazillion times. And then when they went to work, they changed a bazillion times. And in the end, my entire career and profession is actually connected to my major, though I could never have known that when I majored in it. It wasn't that I went to study Hebrew to go teach Hebrew. But I ended up many years later moving to Israel. And because I studied Hebrew, I had the language. And what I didn't know was those teachers that I had, they were like the creme de la creme of Israeli society. They were like the literati. So I had this humongously great education that I didn't even know. And because I was in this really, really small department, they would invite us to their homes, and it gave me a lot of confidence. Here's another thing. The things that you think you need to get ahead, like there's a way you're supposed to do it. We spoke about this the other day too, like writing, composition, literature. I got D's. I had this TA who had, I don't know whether he had it out for me or I reminded him of his sister. I don't know what, but I could not win with this guy, and I worked really hard and I got really bad grades. And that didn't matter either, because today in my business, I write all the time and I'm a friggin' great writer. So that doesn't matter either. What matters is trusting yourself. What matters is whatever, do you know that voice inside of yourself that might not make sense, but something nudges you? Does this make sense? Raise your hand if this makes sense. Raise your hand if you have anything. Okay, great, cool. That's important. Like, pay attention to that. You want to share what they are? Dare you?
Well, I can share my opinion, I guess. So I'm a senior, I'm graduating in May, and I'm currently torn between political science and criminal justice. I'm doing both of them. And so I kind of always had this calling towards being a police officer. And so I'm currently working for a police department, but I kind of found that I don't think it's what I want to do, at least right now. So I think I've kind of made a decision as to what I want to do. Maybe have a job, just like a normal job for a year or two, and then go back and see if it's right for me in that time. I think I'm called to that profession, but not right now.
What profession?
Being a police officer.
Oh, being a police officer.
Yeah.
You know what? If you want, I have a friend who works she studied for, she's a forensic scientist in the LA Police Department.
I could not do that. It's so much science. Too much science.
No, but if you ever wanted to know what it's really like to work in a police department, I'm happy to, I bet she would be willing to speak to you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I think for me, something I personally have been like struggling with is finding, like, I'm a very overcommitted person, so I'm in a lot of clubs and hold a lot of leadership positions, but I have a hard time figuring out, like, is it worth being a part of all those clubs and having the leadership positions, or should I focus more on like myself and like doing well in school, or being able to like commit more to one club rather than like a variety of them?
What does your gut tell you?
I feel like my gut wants me to stay in all of the clubs because I do care about each of them.
Do you
but then,
enjoy that? Do you enjoy them?
I mean, the one specific club I'm not sure about is my Doctors Without Borders club, just because it doesn't take like, it's not like a huge commitment to me, but it still has some things that I have to like dedicate time to. And part of me is also like, I wish I had those couple extra hours to like either study more or work on like this club more, which is stat, because I feel like I'm more passionate about this. So it's like very conflicting for me.
Yeah, well, pay attention to what you're passionate about because that takes you in the right direction.
Yeah.
You know how when you're really liking something, it's like you could start studying or doing something and the time will just pass, whereas if it's something that you have to do, it's like pulling teeth.
True.
And there's a momentum, when you go, so yeah, maybe there's no right or wrong. Again, it comes back to that really important question that you asked at the beginning of, like what's a big decision, what's a little decision there. It's like life is made up of a whole bunch of little decisions one moment at a time. So maybe it's let that one go, have the extra time for school, then you have extra time for this club that you feel more passionate about. And who knows, if you do that, there are no guarantees. There are no guarantees. And here's another piece of good news. No matter what age, you're still going to have the same questions. There's no formula. Maybe that's the shit news, but it's also the great news because it's really fun. It's like because you're always learning and there's always something new. And just think about, if you get to a place and you keep holding on and there you are, you're at the end, it's like, kill me now. It's like, then where do you go? And as for the police, that sounds like really smart that you're trying out different things. It's like, if there's ever a time to try out things, it's now. Actually, we didn't talk about the other day, but Megan said that what she's really noticing is that you know, in your environment, everybody's like, oh, I got to do the right thing. I have to get it perfect so that. Do you relate to that? Like, doesn't matter in the end. Like that's not the, that is a waste of energy. That is a waste of energy and stress and anxiety. And there's no right or wrong. No right or wrong. But there isn't a right way to do things. Actually, maybe there is. The right way to do things is being true to yourself. Because whatever you're passionate about, I remember hearing a radio show many years ago with this child psychologist. And I was in my early 20s, maybe mid 20s at the time. You know, I had started my career, and I remember, and I was miserable. You know, I was doing like the what's expected, and it looked great on the outside. It felt horrible on the inside. I was making the money, I was fitting in, you know. But me, I felt so stressed and so icky in between me and me. Nobody else saw it. And then on this, I remember driving, sitting in gridlock traffic in Long Beach, listening to this radio show with this child psychologist and the radio host. So, you know, when does a person know, like, what's the right thing to do, or, you know, what's right for them? He said, you know, there's an age between when a child is 8, maybe it was 7, 8 to 11 years old, 12. That's when whatever our gifts, you know, our natural tendencies and our natural talents start to come out. So if you want to be a wise parent, you support your child, you know, in expressing that, regardless of whether they'll do something with it. But you never know, because one of those things, he said, just say yes to them, you know, however you can, support them in that. And when I looked back on my childhood, I saw like the music, you know, the things that I was not expressing at all in my career, and my creativity, which I was trying to express in my career then, but it wasn't, and it worked to the extent within my career, and I excelled because of that, but it wasn't natural to me. And the best thing I ever did, that when there was the recession, at the end of the 80s, I was laid off of my cushy job, and I decided that I would jump into the unknown. Because at that point I thought, you know, if I don't do it now, I'm going to end up, I'll go get another job. It'll look better, may have more money, and then I'll get married, and then I'll have kids, and then I'll have a mortgage, and then, you know, do like the things that you're supposed to do, or, you know, like whatever the consensus is. When I looked at that, I go, yeah, and then where am I? It's like, there's nothing wrong with those things. It's not about those things. But it was, am I a robot in life? Like, what is life? Why am I here? And that was always something that, since I was maybe 4 or 5 years old, I remember in kindergarten asking myself, what am I here for? Why am I here? I know I have a role. You know, we all have a role, and what is that? But I didn't grow up in an environment where they listened to that or supported it. You know, I grew up in an environment where you do what's expected of you. And I mean, there were very, very strict rules, and my self-expression was, you know, didn't really fit into that. But I'm so glad that I had the courage to listen to myself, because that's what has, any ounce of confidence that I have in my life is because of that. Not because anybody else told me, not because anybody else agreed with me, but the things that I also feared of what will they say, and punishment, and being ostracized and humiliated in public and criticized, which I was plenty criticized and humiliated in public. But that doesn't hold a candle to the to the self-esteem and the value of listening. And it's like right now, sitting here right now, like this is one of the payoffs. Because I wish I had somebody who I could have listened to when I was in your place. You know, somebody who would like honestly answer my questions and vulnerably and not judge me for not knowing. And that's why I'm sitting here. To me, it's like that is worth that. That's like the payoff. It's like there isn't anything better.
So going off what you were saying, what do you feel like is the meaning of life? Like what have you found? Do you think it's mostly like being able to just listen to yourself and do what you want, or do you have anything more to add to that?
That's also a great question, you know, because I'm really like once again in midlife, I'm asking, it's funny. It's like in midlife, it's like another adolescence. It's like a return of where you are now, because I'm finding myself now asking similar questions that you're asking. Only I've been around the block enough time, so I have the benefit of the wisdom of the years. And, you know, I'm thinking, well, well, I'm going to back up a second. So your generation and my generation, we have something very, very much in common, and that is that we're both pioneer generations. Because your generation, you're digital natives. You're like the first generation who's come in totally digital. And you're so much more emotionally and spiritually mature than generations before. You just are natively. So that's pioneer. My generation, we're pioneers because we broke through the mold. All of the, like, a woman can't work, all of these laws, things that you take for granted weren't there. I was the first woman, in computer sales. When I got married, I had a butch haircut. We wore neuter suits because I couldn't show anything about being a woman. And then we became men in skirts, but it's like, and now we're in middle age. And it's like, I'm seeing it so much because I'm back in LA because I want to be close to my mom. I've lived in Israel for more than 20 years. And my mom is 89. And I just did this commercial. I'm doing this project with a company and we're having the best time. And they're it's like the millennials and me, the millennials and the boomer. And they brought me in because they don't have a friggin' clue. I'm the woman who I'm the one who takes out the credit card to buy the service. They have a startup. It's healthy aging, and it's just brilliant. It's kind of like the Netflix of healthy aging. But they see me and my mom as the same. It's like, don't you fucking dare! It's like totally different. But why would they know? Why would you know? But that is what is so cool, is that the point of life that I'm getting over again, it's this. It's it's like discovering what your gift is and daring to share it, find ways to share it, because that's what brings the satisfaction. It's not the money and the cars and the accolades and the social media and the how many likes you have. Because I remember this guy saying to me at one point, before I left the state, so when I was in my 20s, he goes, your pillow hits, your head hits the pillow at night alone, You wake up, wake up with your head on the pillow alone. It's like, how, like, how do you want to live your life? It really is whatever you choose. And it's just so much more popular and easier to be a victim of life. Victim meaning it's their fault. It's this, and the world is everything's coming apart because we're all of us alive today. The whole world is changing. And it's either shit or it's great. How do you want to look at it? And there's no right or wrong. And I'm getting tired of talking. I want to hear your questions.
Could be anything. She's a life coach. She can share it all.
Who has a question or a comment? Is any of this making sense to you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, unanimous. Yeah. What? I'm curious. Why? Now I'm curious. Why aren't you speaking? Why is it so scary to just speak?
There's just so much on my mind right now. Like, this is all speaking to me. Like, I'm like what I want to do in my life, and like what I'm thinking about my life, and, like what my problems are now, and like it's all making sense, and like I just don't know what to ask because I'm just thinking about like what you said to me, and I'm like, oh, what do I like want to do? Like, what do I want to do right now, or what do I want to do tomorrow, or
Yeah.
next year, or stuff like that. Like, it's also it's all helping me a lot. It's just like I don't know what to ask because I'm just too far into just thinking about that right now.
What would you, so you don't know who to ask. I mean, that makes total sense. So what would be like, if you had a magic wand, what would be your question? That if you had the answer to it, you'd go, oh, God, finally.
Wait, I just
If you had a wand, a magic wand, or
Like right now, like in your life, where she regrets, like what should I do about this?
I just want to know where I just want to like secure a spot somewhere in graduate school because that's all I'm worried about now because I need to apply to physical therapy school next year or this summer and this fall. Like, I just want to know and like I just want to be secure in where I'm going, but I also just want to enjoy like the moment right now because like I run across.
I didn't hear you. I heard I want to be secure, know where I'm going, and then you cut out. I didn't hear that.
I wanna know that like this is guaranteed. Like I'm gonna go to graduate school and everything, but I want to enjoy the moment right now that I have with like my friends and like what I'm doing like every day. Because I run cross country and track here at SLU, but sometimes I just get caught up with like doing a lot of other things, but then like I just don't enjoy the moment. Like it seems because I'm too focused on like trying to get good grades and get into grad school. But like I want to enjoy like running in itself and like being with my friends. But I feel like I never get to hang out with like my roommate like frequently or just like I don't know like, stuff like that. Like I just want to hang out with my friends more. Like play basketball if I want to instead of like being too worried about hurting myself. Like stuff like that. Or I just want to watch an NBA game. Like with all this Kobe Bryant stuff that just happened this past week, it hit me really hard. And I had a really tough week last week because I looked up to Kobe a lot when I was a kid. And it was just tough seeing that he like went out like that. But I would say he lived his life to the fullest and I want to do the same. But I'm just too caught up like with like the future and like what that holds for me. But I don't know what's gonna happen.
Well, you're so smart for seeing that because and given what you're saying, I could really see how that that must touch you so deeply with what with Kobe Bryant, especially since you looked up to him so much, and all of a sudden it's like wham bam, gone.
Yeah.
like, holy moly, like, what's it all about? And that it's like, why am I killing myself about getting, making sure I'm in grad school when, how do I know what's going to be like,
Yeah, exactly.
you know? And, but that's right. I mean, and it's not one or the, it doesn't have to be one or the other. And the fact that you want to be with your friends, it's like, that's really right. Because, if you just watching a game or being with your friends, then you're connected with other people, and not on a computer or not on a phone. And human connection. It's like things happen with that too. Hey, you never know. You may be sitting next to your friend watching the game, and it ends up that their father or their uncle, who knows, happens to be the director exactly in the school that you want to be in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, because in the end, it's human connection. It's not grade and it's not social media. That is bullshit. It really is. That is a tool. That is not the thing. You're the thing. That's the important part.
I know, like, I look back to like what I did last summer, and like I volunteered at a hospital, I worked at a running shoe store. Like, I loved the, I mean, I was so busy, like, because I was just trying to get all my like patient contact hours and everything, but it was just fun doing it because I was able to talk to so many people on a daily basis, like at work or at the hospital. So I would much rather do that than be at school right now because I don't want to do physics. Like I don't care to do that. Like I just want to talk to people and just meet new people and I don't know. I like working too. Like I like helping people find what works for them and like help them get to their goals and like share my knowledge with what I've done in running. So I just think it's fun for me, but I don't enjoy being in school that much. But like being around people I want to be around with, like that helps. But I don't like doing so I like last semester I took a good class like that. It was exercise physiology. That's what I do all the time. But
Well, here's the good news. The classes in the end doesn't, that's,
yeah,
that's not the important part. It really isn't. The
yeah,
important part is how do you get along with other human beings? How do you relate? Because that's going to make a difference in your job, if you decide to be in a relationship, with your friendships, if you choose to have a family. I mean, those are skills you can, because all kinds of stuff is going to come up during life. And how to navigate relationship, that's about the most important thing. And how to navigate relationship begins with how do you navigate the relationship with yourself. And, it's like, in that light, it's a really cool place to be in to have all of these questions. It's like, I can really relate because I really am going through a very similar thing now. And not that it's not easy and it's not comfortable, but having the wisdom of the years, what is different is that it's so much easier for me to be there for me, or to, I'm more willing to show my vulnerability because I know my vulnerability is actually a strength. It's not a weakness. And when I talked about the pioneer stuff, it's like in my generation, especially for a woman, to show your vulnerability is like tantamount to suicide because you'd get eaten alive. But now we're in middle age and nobody gives a shit about a middle-aged person. It's like, those guys are like, oh yeah, I don't know, whatever, but they were using whatever buzzwords from whatever their businesses that they learned about our generation. It was just like so disconnected from any reality. And I felt unseen and unheard. You ever feel like you're unseen, unheard? Like you don't matter, just your grades matter or what you do, right? Only the cool thing is that in this situation, because we're all open and we really do care, it's like they hired me to uh, be the bullshit meter. And I'm like, no, don't patronize me like that. No way. And they do the same thing. And we really have fun and really great creative stuff is coming out. And I really honor all of you for being in this room because imagine what would happen as this happens more. Because I'm getting inspired by you, and I hope you're getting inspired by me, just by our talking, right? And when you're with your friends at the game, same thing happens. We're here to support one another. That answer your question?
Yeah, that helped a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Who else?
I think for me personally, it kind of reiterated why I came to Swift because I gave up a career to be here. Because I'm a little bit older than everyone else, so I've had a life in.
Abby, how old are you?
I'm 25.
Uh-huh.
In July. So I did give up a career to be at Swift and like pursue my dreams. And I traveled and I saw a lot of things in my life. So this basically just reiterates like why I'm here and like what I want to do after graduation. Because I want to go to Ethiopia, to Africa, to my grandparents, and to network in public health so I can get a job.
Wow.
Yeah,
You give me goosebumps.
yeah, so I want to ultimately work for the United Nations, and the best way to do that is to go through Africa. Here they're going straight to UK and New York. So basically networking is one of the best.
Uh-huh. That's fantastic. Oh, I could definitely.
That's amazing.
I try to keep it in.
No, that is
Yeah, I have a
so
lot of
cool.
That is so cool. So what would be your teeny beanie next step towards that?
So I graduate December. So by January, I'm hoping to get a visa to go to Ethiopia and just hopefully get a job there. Staying with my aunt and my grandmother.
Wow. I bet, you could I wonder, there's a woman I lead a women's leadership retreat to Israel every year, and there was a woman on the retreat last year who went to Ethiopia afterwards. She's a musician. I wonder if she may have some contacts for you. I better write this down. Well, you know what, Megan, I would appreciate it if you would write to me afterwards, and because then I'll follow up with these people. I said somebody else too. Who was that?
It was Catherine.
Catherine? What did I say? Right.
Somebody in forensics.
Forensics, right. So, right. So Megan, right, Elisa, Ethiopia for Abby. And Pyre, it's Pyre for Catherine at the LAPD. You know what else, Abby, that comes to mind? I bet I'm sure there are. It's like how I got myself overseas, and you could even, I just always wanted to go to Israel. I didn't know why. It just spoke to me, and remember the D's I got in writing? So one day I am in the Near Eastern Studies department, and well, then they had bulletin boards, and there was this thing up on the bulletin board: undergraduate scholarship or grants for undergraduate research. I'm going in. That's how I'm getting to Israel this summer. And so I went to my professors and I said, I'm going to do this. And I could like offer anything, anything. I said, I'm going to study the effects of dance between because there are Eastern cultures and Western cultures there. And I didn't know how to write a proposal. I was getting D's and F's. So I went and I asked there's Barry, this one professor, if he would help me. That was huge in and of itself that I asked for help. And I came up with this proposal. Somehow I got that in, and every week I would go to the office going, have you heard? Have you heard? I think they just got so sick of me going there. They go, give her the grant, give her the grant. So I got this grant, and that's how I got overseas. And what my project was, I wrote like a thesis or something, which just like killed me afterwards. But that's how I learned to write. But because it was something I wanted to do, then there was no teacher flunking me because it was what they said I needed to do to get ahead. It's what I wanted to do, that I was willing to pay the price of tearing my hair out, having to write that thing because it was hard. But I felt so successful after it because it was hard and I followed through. I made the commitment. And it's like every year, somehow I'd find these programs, there are all kinds of, you could look up, what there is in Ethiopia now? Look up like women's leadership.
Yep. There's also like, there's a lot of agencies in Ethiopia, so they connect with these students. I just need the diploma from Twitter and then I'm out. That's all I'm waiting for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's another great bit of advice that I got from when I was leaving LA. This was later. This was already when I was working. So I hated my job. It was like shitting bricks. And it's the one I was being laid off from. So I was still being paid and I needed the money. And that's when I decided to jump off into the unknown. And this woman says to me, here's what I did. If you never want to go back to that, she goes, I know it's going to be hard for you, but just love exactly where you are. Give it your best. Find everything you can to be there and give your best. Because if you leave it like that, you'll never have to go back. If you resist it and you're just like roboting your way through, you're just gonna bring that, you take yourself with you wherever you go. You'll just recreate it somewhere else. And I decided to take her advice, and it did feel like shitting bricks at the time, but it was so wise, that wisdom, because I have never had to go back. Never. Not that I haven't had prices to pay otherwise. You pay one way or pay the other, but if you are true to yourself, you pay the price of your fear and your worry, but you pay that anyway, right? Like you said, Adam, I just want to be sure, but there is no surety of anything. Because we don't have control over results, but what is sure is we do have control over our attitude. That you have 150% control, responsibility, and accountability. And how are you treating yourself? How's it working for you listening to other people? How does it feel? And when you listen to yourself, it might feel like shit also, because it's terrifying, to not go along with the consensus, because the majority don't do that. The majority go along with the consensus to not have to deal with the terror of being true to themselves. Only that's the price you have to pay. Only when you are true to yourself, you get the prize of your self-esteem, and you get the prize of accomplishment of, whatever it is that you dream of. and you make a difference in this world, because your voice really does make a difference, and you really have something that nobody else has. And the price you pay if you go with the consensus, and it's not like this big rule, okay, I'm not going to go with the consensus, because there's no right or wrong, and there's no black or white. Life is like filled with shades of gray. But today, when I have my difficulties, the difficulties aren't the problem. There's beauty in the difficulty too, because there's a connection, and there's in vulnerability, there's humility, and in humility, it's not popular in these days. Have you even heard the word humility? No. Oh, good. I like seeing that. No, I hardly ever hear it. Humility, it's like being humble is like putting your head, like maybe the common, how it's looked at today is keep your head to the grindstone. No, 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 no. Having humility to be who you are, to be in the right order of things, that there's a reason you're alive, and that there's a reason that you have passion. There's a reason that you love things. And humility, I'm learning. And it's what makes me get up in the morning, even if I'm going through such hard times. It's like money comes and goes. The account goes up, the account goes down. The relationships come and they go. It's like, that's life. But having the humility to just be in life and be willing to see what's good. No degree, no job, no money, no nothing can buy that. And that's what makes me breathe. And it's fun. And you don't have to be like everybody else, because you're not. I think the only thing we actually have in common is that we come in from the same place and we leave and go to wherever we go to the same place. And that's about it.
Question I have is like, how do you manage like negative influences, whether like people question what you want to do, or they ridicule you for like wanting to follow your path?
Oh yeah, boy, that's the big gazoozy, isn't it? Well, I mean, the simple answer, not that it's easy to live it, but no one can have an impact on me unless I agree to it. I don't have any control over what you say to me or what you think about me. I do have every bit of power how I respond. And frankly, what you think about me is none of my business. What I think about me is my business. Also, not a popular notion, but that is, think about those times in your life. Can you think about something where you just knew something was right for you and nobody agreed with you and you went for it anyway? You followed your truth? So what was the result of that for you?
Satisfaction happening.
And yeah, it's satisfaction. And then by your showing up for you, you end up, that's true leadership, because just by your example, that we're all scared of that. It's like, it's scary. But, when we show up in that way, then we end up, living an example. And there's somebody else who, might want the same thing and is too scared. And then, sees Adam that you did show up for yourself and go, oh, if Adam did it, then maybe I can, or whatever their thing is. And imagine what kind of world we'll end up living with as each one of us, you know, each one in his or her own time does that.
Yeah, okay. That was a good answer. I don't know.
So I have, I'm in a current relationship right now, and I also have like commitment to my family here. How would you like recommend balancing both, like, if you care about your relationship and like those people in your lives and like their goals? So how would you recommend like balancing their goals and yours, and like how you're moving forward together?
Oh yeah, boy, that's a doozy too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it, isn't it? Like that, yeah, that's like the biggie. They're all big questions. I mean, they're all important questions. But yeah, because we live with other people, and you know, how do we be true to ourselves and get along with other people? Here's something that I've heard that really inspires me in that situation, and I work it before situations come up. It's like, well, I really care about you. I really care about you, and I want to be there. And because I want to be there, I'm going to be here for me first and take care of what I need to take care of for myself so that I can be there for you. So, you know, once give it whatever the situation is, but, you know, once I'm finished taking care of ABC, then, then I'll be in touch, then we'll take the next step. It comes up for me a lot with my mom because I'm here because I want to be closer to her, and she is in early stage Alzheimer's. It's like really, she's still conscious, and it's like, it's hard, and it brings up all of these issues of, being a good daughter, and am I doing the right thing? And what if she dies tomorrow? And what if she doesn't die tomorrow? Because it's like so hard to deal with. And I'm like learning exactly what I'm sharing with you, how I'm answering. I'm practicing the same thing with myself. And it's really astounding because what I'm learning is that as I'm putting my needs first, I meet up with guilt. Like, am I being a good daughter? Am I not doing what I should be doing? Because, in my mind, there are all these shoulds, what I should be, or what's right, or what's wrong. And I don't know what's right or wrong. And I don't know what she needs. But it's all going on in my mind. And when you're in that kind of situation, it's really, really important to put your self-care first. Because the statistics actually show that the ones who are taking care of the ones who are caregiving, and I'm not even the caregiver, but those of us, like they're 66% are the daughters. They end up dying before the ones that they're caregiving. That really scared me. And that has really helped me put my needs first. But I pay the price of guilt, and I pay the price of wondering whether I'm doing something wrong. And by not running from that and being kind and compassionate towards myself first, when I am with her, I'm enjoying it so much. And the gifts that I am receiving, I could not even imagine. And she'll say things that I needed to hear when I was a child growing up, the things that I needed and wanted that I didn't receive. Now I'm receiving because I'm showing up for me. But I could never know that. I hope I'm answering. Am I answering your question?
Yeah, you are. I was also wondering, I just recently took over my mom's like finances, and so I've just kind of been struggling with that, like working with that, and also having a boyfriend, having other people to care about while also moving forward. So just remembering to also do what's best for me is good.
Yeah. And it's like, I like hear it a lot, but I'm also noticing this tendency, even with myself. It's like one of the reasons I said yes to meeting with you today is that such a tendency to isolate. And with social media, it's so easy to think you're connecting, but you're really, you know, there's such, I think, an epidemic of loneliness and of isolation today. And I notice it even like, when I've reached out to or asked friends or colleagues, it could be in all different kinds of situations. And they're, no, can't, I'm taking care of my parent, or, taking care of the kids, or I got to do this assignment, or just all of these gotta do's. And this comes back to like watching the football game and Kobe Bryant. It's like, because that stuff is important. Like balance is important, but it's not, the way culture is structured, and, our value systems are structured around achievement and getting things done. And, so what if we get everything done? What if you like do the best and you're sitting in your ivory tower, or, you have a gazillion dollars, and you've got whatever cars you want, and, whatever home you want, and, the money is not an issue. Then what do you do? And that's something that had a huge impact on me growing up in Hollywood. I would like see like the reality of all these famous people in all these mansions and this and that, only behind it, miserable people. And when you get to that place, it's like you have what everybody dreams of having. And then what do you do? It's even worse. And they're all killing themselves. And it terrified me. So I don't want that. And it's not about the mansion. Like your passion, your caring is important. It's really, that's the underrated, and it doesn't cost any money. You don't need any condition for it. You can be right where you are, going exactly where you are on your rounds and on the stuff that you don't want to be doing. How could you find, how could you love that a little more? How could you maybe, next time you go into the whatever you don't want to be doing. And if you really don't want to be doing it, then stop doing it and be kind to yourself. But if you're choosing to be there, then I wonder, what you could do showing up. Maybe there's somebody there who you wanted to speak to, but you didn't dare, and you could just go take them a water, or I don't know what, just like make some little connection, even if it's embarrassing. Because maybe they want the same thing and they're embarrassed too. But that's loving, that's kind, and then you get the payoff of feeling good about yourself afterwards. And then, that thing that was Shitsville a few seconds before becomes something that's valuable to you.
Yeah.
How are you doing, Mark?
That's actually my brother's name.
Mark?
Mark is my brother's name. So
Oh, Matt, I'm sorry.
His name's Mark. That's really
Oh, that's so funny.
yeah, Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything that's big. That's a similar issue that I have, but I haven't gotten to that point because the girlfriend doesn't know where she's going yet. And it could work out that she's close to me, so it might not be a problem. My only thing is like, even as a senior, having to figure out how to prioritize like spending time with friends versus doing assignments. And it all gets done. I see the friends, the assignments get done, but then I just get tired. But I think I know how to change it. I know what I can do. I just don't. So it's like, I don't know what kind of advice it would be to, I know what the problem is, I know how to fix the problem, but I'm not fixing the problem.
Oh, so is it, Matt, do you get, is it resistance? Do you like,
I'll get back to my room, there'll be people in there and I'll talk to them. Or I'll get in the library and I'll find someone and I'll talk to them. Or just, wow. So general procrastination, get one wrong.
yeah,
Little things add up and it lose a bunch of time.
Yeah.
And then I still do the assignments, but if they do them, wake up early to do them, and I'm tired.
yeah, oh yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, so anybody else relate to that?
Yeah.
I totally relate.
Like,
Yeah.
actually doing it is the toughest part.
Yeah, well, two things I could say. One is when I find myself procrastinating, one thing is I notice that it's like, well, there's something else usually going on beneath it. Like, why am I procrastinating? You could ask yourself, what am I afraid of? Or what else is going on that I really don't want to look at? That when I take the time, like, well, maybe you really do need to be with friends. Am I allowing myself, or maybe I need to go sleep because I'm exhausted.
I've had a problem for years. It's
And the other thing is that, I don't know, they're kind of like, for me, a few different kinds of procrastination. There's the procrastination that underneath is something I'm avoiding looking at because it's too scary or uncomfortable, or, and when I dare, that's kind of about humility also, and compassion, when I care enough about myself to ask myself that question. I'm already paying attention to myself. It already answers half the problem. Because then if I'm honest with myself, then I'll see, and then you know what you're dealing with. And then you can, the tendency is to, okay, well, how can I address this? Whether it's make a telephone call to somebody or do so, something else that I've been afraid to do. And then it brings to the second point of taking a teeny beeny little chunk. A lot of times I take my phone and I put it on timer for 10 minutes. Sometimes that's even too much. Like 5 minutes at the timer, and I will just do 5 minutes worth of something. 5. And sometimes that's even too much. I put it at 2 minutes. Just the fact that I do it, it's like that gets over the procrastination. And, a lot of times then it goes off and, it's like I keep going. Other times, no, I just move on, but at least, I move beyond it, and then I've got the sense of having accomplished something.
I've always thought about doing that. I've only done it like a couple of times.
Yeah.
So I need to do that.
It's great. You know what else? Right now I'm playing a game with some friends of mine. So we're a group of 4, and we're playing this game, and we have 4 different subjects. We have self-care, we have our vision, our vision and making money, career, job stuff are together. Spiritual and outreach, like connection. And we do it a month at a time. Today is the first day of the 4th week. And so everybody chooses their goals for the month, in each of those things. And then for 10 minutes a day, you do that thing, towards that thing. And then we go in a round robin, so the outreach is that we actually call the person. Texting doesn't count. You physically make a phone call so that you physically have to speak to another human being. Now, if they don't answer, you still get your points. And you get, for each thing you do, you get 25 points, so that you have a total of 100 points a day. And I'm in a community of people, and we all broke up there. So we're playing a game, and see who's going to win. But it really isn't about that. It's about, getting beyond your procrastination and like showing up for yourself. And it is just the best. Just little 10 minutes at a time. It's like, so you could do that in your club.
Yeah.
And you take partners. It's like, so round robin, it's like first week, Megan calls Abby. And, well, if you're 5, it's Megan, Abby. Abby calls Adam. Adam, calls Matt, and so on. And then the next week, you just, you move on with the next.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works.
Are we? Oh yeah, we're. So.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so to complete this session. How about if we go around in a circle, and I'd love to know what is one thing you're taking from today, one little thing that you are willing to implement in your life.
I'll go first. There are many things I took from this, but the one thing I know I need to do as soon as possible is set a timer and just like crank out more physics problems so that I have a test on Monday. So I need to get that done. I want to watch the Super Bowl, stuff like that, but I don't know if I will.
Well, the cool thing is, when you do it, then you could go, like, reward yourself, go watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'll do that then. But yeah, that's one thing. That's the biggest thing I'm gonna do, like, as soon as possible, But yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for your sharing. Who's next?
What I'd like to do is like make a goal of outreach more to my friends and family. I was like reminded, I planned on calling someone last week on like Monday, and I just like forgot about it, and we were gonna reschedule, but we never rescheduled, so I still just had to talk to this friend in like 2 weeks now. I think I need to make it a bigger priority, even if it's just like a 10-minute call. I feel like we can both get a lot out of that, and if I like can make it more of a point, like it's only 10 minutes on my day, that's not a long time.
Yeah.
Do random calls to check up on people, to like preserve our connection and relationship.
That's really cool too, isn't it? It's that, like, the follow through. You started to and then drop it, but to pick it back up. Yeah, that's really powerful.
I think for me, just to take time for myself. Because sometimes I get like so caught in like school and family drama and life and adulting, and I forget to like just chill. Like it's caught up in like all the tasks that I have to do every day.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's probably the similar background situation about focus on your own personal self after college.
Focus on your own what? I didn't hear
Your
that.
own self, like your own.
Oh yeah.
Like that. Yeah, somebody else.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
I was like, we said about how your vulnerability is your strength. And I think I could be better at being more vulnerable with people. Like if somebody asks me a real question about my life, sometimes I'll just be like, oh, I'm good, or oh, I don't know what I'm doing yet. When in reality, I could have like a deeper answer to that question and have a really good conversation.
Wow, that's big.
So thanks for being with us today.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so
Well,
much.
Thank
What
you.
I'm taking from this is how important it is just to show up, me too, just vulnerably and to say yes. And when things don't make sense, but it feels right, say yes anyway. Because I'm so happy I did. I received so much from listening to all of you. I've received a lot. So thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, I'm glad you're able to figure this
Yeah,
all out.
and please send me send me that follow-up,
Oh,
and I'll contact.
yeah.
And if you have any questions, you know what, feel free to reach out to me. And if I mean, you've really inspired me that I'm like, God, I would enjoy doing this more. If you know of other organizations or groups, I'd be more than happy to do that.
Great. All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so, so much. All right, have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye. I'll send you a link to the recording if you want it. You want it?
Yeah,
Yes,
that'd be awesome.
absolutely.
Okay, bye.
Thank you.
Bye.